Hi everybody, welcome to the third unit of Math 10-3. This is going to be about using measurement or calculating measurement values. You see, in Unit 2 we looked at different units. We looked at SI, we looked at imperial, we looked at conversions, and yes, we did do some basic calculations. This unit essentially now is going to focus solely on the calculations. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our knowledge of the SI and imperial systems, and we're going to use our knowledge of those systems to calculate values. A lot of this is going to deal with different shapes and formulas involved. I would ask that as we go through this unit, you do have your formula sheet with you, because on your formula sheet you will see various shapes and formulas that are involved. And we're going to kind of go through all of those. So if you look, you have rectangles, circles, triangles, semicircles, on and on and on. Anyway, these are some of the things that we're going to cover in this unit. It goes all the way from distances, circumference, areas, surface areas, etc. So you're going to find that we're going to move fairly quick. So please always have a calculator, have your formula sheet, and ensure that you know how to use the SI and imperial units. So we move on to our very first lesson, which is distances and estimating. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I might give you some practice here, but the concept of reference come in. Now, what is a referent? You see, a referent it's a concrete item that you can use to estimate measurements. So let me just put it in a real life example. I'm not saying these are estimating, and this is not perfect. It's a give or take sort of answer. So for example, let's say you want to figure out the distance between two people. They're standing on a field. Well, what you could do is, let's say one person is here and another person is over here. Now, as you can see here, take a meter, for example. I'm not saying it's perfect, but a meter is give or take kind of one step. So if you wanted to figure out how far apart two people are, well, what you could do is you could start at one end and count your steps to the other. And I'm not saying it'd be perfect at all, but you could then estimate and say, well, I took 32 steps. I estimate their distance is 32 meters apart. So you see, it's a concrete item. It's something that you can touch, something that you can use and place, okay? For example, if you wanted to say, like, how long is a piece of paper? You could measure that in inches. You could simply just take your thumb width and count how many of your thumb it takes to go across or up the page. And that would be a roundabout estimate, okay? If you want to know how many feet something is, well, if you want to know how many feet your living room is, you could simply measure how many of your feet go across the floor. So again, using a referent is something that we've been doing for years. Maybe you haven't used this term, but a referent is something you can touch. And it's something that you believe equates to a normal unit. So for example, if you took your shoe, a shoe is a concrete item. You can touch it. And what you do is in your mind, you say, okay, my shoe, it is equal to 1 foot. Well, then you could take that shoe and measure with it and say, oh, this distance took 3 of my shoes, so I estimate this distance is 3 feet. So a referent, we've used it all the time. It's just something maybe you haven't used the correct terminology or haven't been introduced to that. And I will give you some practice with this. I mean, if you were in my class, I'll just show you here. We often use reference to, estimate the measurement of a table, height of a table, length of a popsicle stick, length of a guitar neck. I suppose the whole thing here is choosing the right type of referent. For example, if you had, let's say, length of a guitar neck, maybe, let's say you chose your shoe. Well, that's going into feet. Is that the most appropriate one? Maybe not. Maybe you'd want to use your thumb width. You see, the point I'm trying to make to you here is it's all about using the right one for the job. How about length of a popsicle stick? Would you want to measure that with your foot? Would you want to measure the length of a popsicle stick in feet? No. If I wanted to measure the length of a popsicle stick, I probably would want to do so either in millimeters, centimeters, or inches. So that means I wouldn't be using my foot or my leg. I'd be using the thickness of a dime or my pinky width. I guess that's the only thing I'd say to you here is none of this is really difficult, except the one thing you have to ensure is that the referent must kind of match the task at hand, because some things are very, very small, some things are very, very large. You wouldn't want to, if I go back to that example of people, the two people standing apart on the field, and I think so if, let's say one person's here and one person's over here, and let's say they're a huge distance apart. Well, I wouldn't be trying to estimate that using my thumb width. That would be a bad referent. Okay, you see that's too small. So it's all about knowing which type of referent is appropriate for a situation. And I know that seems like common sense, but I just want you to know that I will give you some practice here. And you're going to kind of have to think to yourself, well, which type of referent is best for this situation? The second part of this lesson is dealing with perimeter. Now, again, this is something you've done millions of times. Perimeter is the distance around an object. Essentially, all you have to do, everybody, is you have to add up the sides and you know the distance around an object. Now, I know that you're probably having words like circumference pop into your head, and we'll deal with that in a little bit. But hey, with any object, if you want to figure out the perimeter, if you know the length of all your sides, just add them up and go for it. The one thing I will say to you is please ensure that they are in the same unit. So for example, if I could show you where you might run into a little bit of trouble, let's say this side of the triangle was 3 meters, this was 2 meters, and let's just pretend for some reason this was in 300 centimeters. Well, you see, this is where it comes back to last unit. You couldn't just go 300 plus 2 plus 3. That'd be the strangest answer. When you add these together, they must be in the same unit, which means you have to rely on your skills from last unit and be able to convert. So you need to know, or figure out using your conversion factor table, that 300 meters or 300 centimeters is 3 meters, and go from there. So the perimeter, of course, of that would be 8 meters. Anyway, no big deal there. I'll show you some two quick examples. You have a person planning a rectangular patio for her backyard. She has room for a patio that measures 15 long by 12 wide. Okay, so I mean, the one piece of advice I could give you is if you do not have a diagram, draw yourself one. So you have a rectangular patio set. It says we have 15 feet long by 12 feet wide. Now, just so you know, obviously you don't have to draw this, but if this side is 15 feet, well, this side is 15 feet. And if this side is 12 feet, well, then this side must be 12 feet. There's two ways that you could do this if you want. Of course, the first way is just add your sides. So you could just go 15 feet plus 15 feet plus 12 feet plus 12 feet. No big deal. You can add that forever. So 30, 42, and that's 54 feet. There is another formula that you can use for rectangles, and this is actually on your formula sheet. For rectangles, there's a formula that goes perimeter equals 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. And if you think of it, it makes sense because, like, let's say this is the length. Well, how many of those would we have? 2 of them. They were right there. So you could just go 2 times 15. So that'd be like saying 2 times 15 plus 2 times the width. As you can see, we had a 12 there and a 12 there. Of course, this is going 2 times 15 is 30. This is 24, which still gives you 54 feet. Please make sure you always have units. Don't just put 54. You need to have the unit measurement right there. One last one, triangular flower bed, 12 feet by 5 feet by 14 feet. The person wants, essentially they're just asking you again, what's the length of the border, what's the perimeter. So again, I can't draw at all, but I will try. Don't bust me. I know that these sides won't look right. I'll make this one 5 feet. I'll make this one 12 feet. And I'll make this one 14 feet. Again, all you have to do here, everyone, is add this up. With a triangle, all you have to do is just add up the sides directly. So perimeter would equal 12 feet plus 5 feet plus 14 feet. And you can go to town on that. So that'd be 17, 27, that should be 31 feet. There you go, I included my unit. There's nothing else you can do for a triangle. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you guys some brief practice here with reference and perimeter, and we will move on.